these. I need to check the audio on these sound bites too to make sure they're.
Promotional consideration. It's me.
Just one God.
Are you ready?
Oh, it's good that we didn't end up doing this yesterday anyway. So you getting called into work was totally fine because he actually had this whole stuff torn apart.
Oh.
Putting these in. So, I mean, I guess worst case scenario, he probably could have moved us to the other studio, but it's a lot smaller, and I don't know how much work it would have been to try to get everything going over there. So
They brought Sylvian back to WWE.
yeah,
Yeah,
I think he's like a producer now or something.
Wow. This also helped too because I can go back now. I can like search and see when we start to talk about Raw and SmackDown. I can like go and look at what everything was, so we can bring up the stupidity and the good and the bad. I'm trying to remember. Probably just pop AEW up too.
So just something to keep in mind is since we are doing 2 shows a week now, it'll probably be closer to an hour, hour and 10, hour and 15 probably for each show instead of the hour and like I think the first 2 we did were like an hour and 40 each.
Right.
But
watch. It's crazy.
Which is fine because, I mean, what'd I say? So we'll just kind of recap stuff from the past week and then the 3 or 4 or 5 short discussion topics, depending on time too. I mean, we could get going on one of them and talk for 10 or 15 minutes. And then Thursday we'll probably just
talk Royal Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be good because the only show that's in between the Royal Rumble and that is SmackDown. I'm kind of ticked. I have to work Royal Rumble.
Really? Man, so how are we doing that? Because Austin's not.
Danforth's.
Dan, yeah. Is he even going to still host it?
I think so.
Okay.
Austin's still going to go, and I'm sure.
Well, birth pending.
But it kind of sucks because I had to decide what I wanted to do, and it was either I could get that off and then have to work the Super Bowl.
That would have worked the Super Bowl.
So my church is doing a Super Bowl party though.
Oh yeah,
and I was wanting
yeah.
to go just to get to know people and.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I was like, I don't want to miss it. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna watch it either way, but I'm gonna be at work and have to wait until after work to watch it.
Yeah.
She was out to stay off of Facebook.
Right.
Because people are gonna be posting who won the Rumble, and I don't want to know.
What, you don't want spoilers?
It's not a spoiler. It's a prediction.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Or not a prediction. It's a spoiler.
That R-Truth, Lesnar, and Heyman thing from was it this past Monday?
2 weeks ago.
That's what I thought.
Not last night.
Yeah, the Monday before. I mean, that was.
I do want to talk. Are we talking about Raw tonight? Or today?
We can talk about whatever we want.
I just want to talk about the fact that the promo. You didn't see it. You need to watch it. It was really good. The promo with the Street Profits with R-Truth was hilarious. They brought the Monday after the Saturday Night Live report thing back, and they had R-Truth as a correspondent in Houston, Texas, where the Rumble was going to be. And R-Truth's like talking about random things about Houston, Texas. And they go, Truth, what are you talking about? He goes, you guys told me to talk about Houston, Texas, or something like that. And then they're like, no, we told you to report live from Houston, Texas. And R-Truth's not holding the 24/7 championship right now.
Which is, I don't know what they're doing.
Mojo
there.
Rawley has it.
Yeah.
They did a small little promo with him, too.
Hey, guys, for those of you that have jumped on the stream, we're officially going to start in about 2 or 3 minutes.
Adjust my volume. Check. Yeah. Check. Yeah, there we go.
The cool thing for you guys that jump on before we actually start is you get to see the 3 or 4 minutes of the behind-the-scenes stuff as we get rolling.
You're gonna leave the jail bars on TO there?
Yeah. That's fine. Yeah. Cool.
Keep him locked up.
He thinks it's...
Escape the cage.
Jordan Byrne, what's up, buddy? Jim Johnson, how we doing? Like I said, for those of you jumping on, we're going to get started here in about a minute or two. I'm posting that we'll officially start at 10 a.m., so that's like 30 seconds from now. It'll probably be like 10:02 by the time T.O. gets back in here. That's all right, though. Give me a check of your mic real quick.
Hello. It's kind of loud. No.
So
You have a volume.
Everett put in these new controls, so you have a
That's for his headset, though, I think.
Right there. Yep.
Is that working?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay.
I still felt loud, but it's not as loud in my ear.
Let me
It's fine. It'll be fun, unless it's loud to you guys.
No, I'm good.
You guys sound fine to me.
All right. 10:01. We'll give it another minute because we can.
You waiting on some guests or something?
No. Just waiting to get situated.
What'd the first 2 weeks do? What were the numbers? What'd they end up with?
Week 1 was insane. I didn't look at week 2.
Week 2, I don't remember.
Week 1, we hit over 3,000.
Oh, wow.
Jim Johnson says, feeling better now that my meds have kicked in. That's good. Don't mean to laugh, but I think back to certain movies and was it Dumb and Dumber? Where he's like, pills are good.
Yeah.
Slapping him in the face, giving them to him.
But no, seriously, Jim, I hope you're feeling all right and it's nothing serious. But all right, let's get rolling here. I always struggle to remember to wait until the music stops before I start talking, because I know there was an issue with the first show trying to talk over it and mixing everything, putting it on iTunes. So, yeah, that's why I just let that play out. So, what's up, guys? Alex here. Cole is here. Tio is here. We are all here, guys. How we doing?
Doing pretty good.
Doing well. Doing well.
Good, good,
Like
good.
always.
Like always. Thanks again for everybody that is tuning in currently and that will check us out later. Basically, we're just going to do a recap of this past week's programming, this past week's riveting programming, and then just talk about a couple topics that I wanted to bring up. Real quick, this will be our last Tuesday at 10 a.m. show. Beginning this Thursday, we're going to be switching to a Monday and Thursday, so twice a week format at 9 a.m. Central Time, so we'll be on an hour earlier. So just to keep that in mind. Later on in the show, I'm also going to go through our giveaways. I posted a video yesterday of our belt giveaway. I'll do some more plugging away on that and give some more details about our other free stuff that we're giving away. That'll come later in the show. So let's get started. All right. Yeah, you guys got to get used to me playing these cheesy sound bites. It's just going to happen.
It's funny.
All right, so I got to get my day straight. So today is Tuesday. Our last show was last Tuesday, so that means we have a whole week's worth of programming. Is that right?
Yeah.
So where do we want to start?
I mean, there's a lot. I don't know what you talked about last week, but a lot went on in 2 weeks.
As I say, our recap was probably like 50 minutes of the show, and I think we're going to have to somehow trim that down, maybe just kind of catch some of the highlights. But I think what we should do, I liked how we did it last week. We kind of started off good.
Did you guys discuss Tessa Blanchard?
A little bit.
We did, yeah.
A little bit. So what was that?
It was just his opinion of that whole situation.
I thought that was a weird.
No, it was the video she has out there apparently of.
I thought that was a weird
poo-pooing.
Yeah, we had some technical audio work done in the studio. So I
kept that very PG too, Alex. Notice how I didn't say anything bad.
Very nice.
Yes.
Very nice.
He's very nervous and wants to skate away from this situation as we're talking.
No, we can talk about it. I wasn't sure what that sound was. So they did some audio technical stuff in here. So any unfamiliar sound, I'm just like, oh, great. What was that? No, we can talk about it. I mean, I don't, aside from the racism stuff, I don't know a whole lot else.
Yeah, there's apparently she had made a video, some custom videos out there.
Recently, or has this been like...
I'm not sure the timeline on this, but one of her fans requested a video of her
basically
number 2.
Defecating. Okay.
Yeah. And that is since circulated. Cornette had some fun with it on his podcast last week. It was pretty funny. But the fact that nobody really congratulated her after she won the championship, like Gail Kim came to the ring, which... They made her do that.
I'm sure they probably said backstage, okay, if we need to send some people out.
I don't think she got, on social media, I did not see one iota from a wrestler. Congratulations. This is groundbreaking. This is a huge step for women. Nothing from any Impact talent, any AEW, any WWE, NXT. Anything. Ring of Honor.
Well, and that just goes to show that, all these rumors about her having issues, attitude problems, yada, yada, yada.
She is Tully's daughter.
Yeah, that's true. But there was the whole, so after that Mae Young Classic, that the tournament she was in a couple years ago, there was all this, I don't want to say backlash, maybe outcry that, hey, why didn't you sign Tessa Blanchard? Well, it's since come out that allegedly she had attitude issues that were enough for her to not be signed or not get a contract, which is saying something because, they deal with attitude problems from
Yeah, she had issues with the girl they just called up, Chelsea Green.
Well, I heard
believe.
it was more than just one. Like it was
It had to
multiple
been, it had to
people
been
complaining.
somebody who was already on their radar that was big too, and they didn't want them to clash.
Yep. Chelsea Green was the one that she's the only one I saw from NXT or WWE say something speaking out about the racism and the way she treated people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think any main roster talent said anything, and I'm not sure if anybody from NXT did besides her. That's not to say that there wasn't, because I think a few girls from the that worked the Battle Royal with her, the first AEW Battle Royal, a few of them spoke out. But regardless, career suicide.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
AEW won't touch her. I mean, like there's no way.
Well, when you have an independent promotion that is pulling you from their show for an entirely separate issue. I mean, this was the racism stuff. I'm not even touching on the whole, I'll just call it custom videos that she's making for fans. When an indie federation is kicking you off their show, something is wrong. I don't care what title you're winning in a semi-major promotional call Impact, because that's what they are. But yeah, I mean, that's just kind of my take on it. Again, we touched on it a little bit last week. Personally, I just think it is what it is. She's denying it. It's kind of like Tessa's got this side of it. Other talent are, saying, well, she made racist comments. She's this kind of person. It's pretty much two-sided, and probably no one will ever know the story, but there have been enough rumors and stuff that have come out that it is clearly an issue to some degree.
Do you ever remember a story in wrestling that was so one-sided? Like, even when you go back to Enzo with what happened with the prostitute or whatever she was.
I don't even remember that.
It's what led to him getting fired. This lady accused him of assaulting her.
Well, it probably shows how much attention that I didn't pay towards WWE whenever he was with him.
Even at that time, though, like, there were people saying, like, oh, she's a drug. Like, people spoke up in defense of Enzo at the time when things did not look good for him. There was nobody speaking up for this girl. Not one person. So
yeah.
It's funny.
I take that back.
Even
no,
her dad is speaking.
Yeah,
up.
I haven't heard. What's his name? He's got the mustache. He does I can't describe it on a PG show. The horrible gimmick.
Joey Ryan.
Joey Ryan did defend her, which says everything you need to know.
That says nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's my take on it. I mean, like I said, we kind of touched on it last week. I think it's just a he said, she said kind of thing. Well, I guess in their case, she said / she said, because I don't think there's any males getting involved that I'm aware of. But, all right. So why don't we go back to AEW from this past Wednesday? So I had a chance to watch some of it, and they opened with the tag match, the Fatal 4-Way tag match with Young Bucks, Omega and Page, Best Friends, Chuck T and Beretta, and Santana and Ortiz. And again, we'll just go through the highlights of each of the shows. We don't have to go through everything in such detail, but I wanted to bring this one up because I thought it was a good match. I think you have people out there that just in general, they're not a fan of what's been coined the quote unquote flippy fest and all the spots and things like that. Personally, I like it. I think it's fun to watch. I think it's entertaining. But I wanted to bring this up because, kind of piggybacking off the match itself, Baron Corbin, of all people, posts to his Twitter about the match itself and basically coming out and saying, spot this, spot that. I forget exactly how he worded it. But part of me wonders if he's just posting to be a heel or if he legitimately thinks he has just as much or more talent, whether it's in ring, whether it's his personality, than the guys in that match. And personally, Baron Corbin is the most stale performer, in my opinion, on any brand, in ring, on the microphone. I'm not going to get on a soapbox, but the fact that they put him over Kurt Angle in his retirement match at this past year's WrestleMania, I think, was an atrocity. Your thoughts?
I mean, when it comes to, you're going to see a lot of this from WWE superstars, though, when it comes to AEW. I think Baron Corbin is just the tip of the iceberg right now, because like this is going to turn into like a reboot of what we saw with WCW. Like, you're going to start to see these war between superstars, especially as people decide where they want to go and where they want to end up and which company they think is going to be the better company at some point. And I just think it was attention on Baron Corbin's part, just to keep attention on him. Like I said, I think his whole King Corbin thing is kind of going stale in general.
I think he was stale before that.
Right. I mean, like,
it's just,
but the whole gimmick itself, I mean, like I was just telling you before we started the show that SmackDown to me and as a whole is just stale.
Yeah, Fox cannot be happy with that.
It's just stale. And it's got a lot to do with the fact that you're pushing this King Corbin gimmick. And if you're going to push Corbin, whatever, that's their choice. That's what they want to do. I get it. But change the gimmick. Change what you're doing, because it's not working. And it's just boring.
well, that's just it. I don't get it. I know you're saying you get it, but I don't see it. I don't see.
He's hated. He's hated by people, and they want someone who's hated by people. So I get why they go with him and all that stuff. But at the match on AEW, that opening match was phenomenal. It was.
I just think it's different types of heat. There's go away heat and there's real heat, and I think that they're confused backstage that he has real heat. I think people just want him off the show. People don't like him.
It reminds me
Not
of
a real
or,
heel,
right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It confuses me.
Yeah, same. Like the point I was trying to make is the fact that you've got this guy, kind of like you said, he's got no other wrestler or talent or whatever. I mean, I'm throwing managers into this too over the years. Wrestlers, managers, just any on-camera personality. No other performer in any generation has had this kind of heat. I wouldn't even call it heat. I mean, like you said, it's just a legitimate. We don't hate you from the perspective of, you're a heel or you're a bad guy or whatever. We want the faces to beat the crap out of you in the ring or whatever. It's just legit. You have no talent. Like, you shouldn't even be on this program. You shouldn't even have a job in the wrestling business, period. I get that he has an athletic background. I get that he played football. I get that he boxed. I get that he even wasn't he like an amateur Gold Glove boxer? Something like that.
You couldn't tell from his footwork, though.
No, exactly. That's what I was going to say. I don't know what changed between then and now, but like, he is just he can't move around in the ring. I mean, he has a move set, which, given enough time, anybody can have a move set that they can perfect. So yeah, I don't get it either. I mean, I know Randy Orton supposedly behind the scenes is high on him. But I don't get it. I think he is someone that just heavily benefited because I guess at some point someone backstage liked him. They hired him, and I don't think he's improved since he's been with WWE.
Agree.
So, but the match itself, like I said, I thought it was a great match. I was actually surprised that they had Omega and Paige win it at first, but then it kind of made sense in terms of, they're right now they're teasing the split of those two, whether they have Paige turn heel or if they just kind of have some kind of dissension. Because if you follow the Being the Elite series over the years, they've had dissension, and they've had Cody and Omega feud with each other, and then they've patched stuff up. So I'm kind of intrigued at how they're going to treat this. What would really surprise me is if they did actually put the belts on them. That would be even if they
see that.
Oh, I don't either. That's what I'm saying. I would be very surprised if they went that
Do
route.
you think the belts even matter in AEW right now?
Just any of them?
Any of them. I feel like, they went with the whole angle that Cody can't challenge for a belt ever, the championship belt ever.
Well, I'll give that a.
You're gonna say he has Arn Anderson with him, and he never held the. I can see that angle, but like Jericho, I mean, I don't know. I feel like they've felt flat. They have fell flat building these big storylines. So obviously they're going with Moxley versus Jericho. Moxley's probably going to go over. But
You think?
I think so. I don't know how much longer you keep it on Jericho. He looks awful.
I was gonna say he doesn't look good in the ring. He doesn't look awful. He's not Baron.
Physically, he looks bad.
Oh, physically
I think
he looks
physically he looks bad.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. He's still having all right matches.
Yeah, he's better than Baron Corbin. I'm done talking about Baron Corbin. But the thing I like about it is that even though it's on Jericho, they're trying to treat the title with legitimacy, and that they're not
Hot shotting it.
exactly. Which makes me wonder. It does make sense to put it on Moxley, but then at the same time, they've only been in. Well, so they were officially a company for about 2 or 3 months before they actually had a champion, before they put the belt on Jericho. So that, what would that be? Maybe he's been champion for 8 months.
Yeah, because
maybe
right now
take.
it's right about a year from.
Right.
They're saying year anniversary.
So let's say he's been champion for 8 months. Do you think if they want to bring legitimacy to that title, that they're gonna put it on someone else? I don't want to say this soon, but part of their angle when they started was the fact that our titles are going to mean something. Our champions are going to mean something. They're going to bring legitimacy to our championships. And part of me wonders if that's why they haven't taken the women's title off Riho.
Or if Kenny Omega's dating her.
Fair point. Fair point. But I don't know. I guess I wouldn't be surprised either way if they take the belt off Jericho, or if they just keep him champion for another few months or whatever.
I thought the big reason they were keeping the belt on Jericho is because he's a recognizable face, PR appearances, yada yada. I don't feel like they're out there doing a ton of PR, but
not really.
They are doing another show. I mean, that's something we're obviously going to talk about. Maybe there's a new wave of PR that comes with a new show coming, and he's the guy that goes out and does those interviews.
But that is a good point. I mean, I don't even remember, at least on a large scale, when, at least Jericho anyway, as champion, when he did any kind of PR, because he's so busy with they're on his cruise right now. He's got his own podcast. He also does stuff for New Japan. I mean, I legit question. I don't remember. Do you guys know if he did any sort of PR when he was champion? And for those of you watching, if you know if he did any kind of PR, help us out, because I don't remember. The point I'm getting at is if you want a champion that's going to go out and do PR, there's a better person to do it than Jericho. But I get why they did it at the time, because he was their only recognizable name, the only recognizable face at that point. So, I don't know. To be determined. I think that back to the tag match with Omega and Paige winning, I think they're just going to set it up as a they're going to break up Omega and Paige, but who knows? They might throw a swerve and put the belts on them. I don't know.
I just feel like they're teasing such a heel turn for Paige, though.
It would make sense.
Like there's so many like cut two scenes that they keep going to him where Like he has like a heelish or like almost like a Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like I just don't care in every situation. Like I'm gonna do what I want in every situation, and they're just teasing that with him a ton, to the point where like I feel like a heel turn is coming. I was really shocked to see them win that match. The only reason why I see them winning is because they're going to get in that match with SCU. It's going to look like they're going to win. But if you've noticed in every match, they've teased a spot where there was almost a time where Hangman hits Kenny on accident, or Kenny almost hits him. Every tag match they've done, there's been discord.
Yeah.
And so I feel like in that tag match, there's going to be something that legitimately happens where Kenny accidentally hits Paige in some kind of way. Paige thinks he did it on purpose. They lose the belt. Frustration hits, and they start brawling. You know, I think that's where we're headed. As far as belts go, I just that's the only. I think they want to stay away from changing the belt so much because WWE overdoes that.
Right.
And maybe they're just trying to hold off on doing too much belt changing. But I just don't know if SCU is the team that keep the belts on for a tag team.
Yeah, and that's kind of another angle to look at it, is the fact that and I like SCU. I mean, I think they're entertaining to watch. So don't misunderstand me when I say this, but I feel like that if you take the tag teams that are in AEW right now, and I'm including SCU as like, because I know they're a faction of 3, but if you take any tag team or faction, I'll call it, and do away with the fact that, you know, they're the champions, I would say I would probably put, and this is also doing away with AEW's current rankings, which for the record, I like the fact that they do that. I think that's kind of original. I think it's kind of a fresh thing that they're doing. Not to get on that tangent, but if you stack up the tag team division or the talent or whatever, I don't know if I would even put SCU in my top 5. If I did, they'd probably be number 5.
I wouldn't.
I mean, because you've got, and again, I'm just looking at it in terms of talent, because you've got, you've got Young Bucks, you've got the guys in that tag match, you've got Best Friends who are really talented in the ring, you've got Santana and Ortiz, you've got, well, you got to throw in Orange Cassidy with Best Friends, because he.
Don't forget about the Lucha Bros.
Lucha Bros for sure. You've got who is what's the
Dark Order?
I'm not. Yeah, I guess you can throw
Join
them
the
in
Dark
there.
Order.
Who am I? Oh, I can't think of their names.
The Butcher and the Blade?
No.
Oh.
And the Bunny?
The hybrid, whatever. Not Generico. Angelico and Jack
so
Evans.
Jack Evans. Yeah, they're not even on TV right now.
I know, and they should
be. It blows
be.
my mind. Like,
but I mean, you got all these guys that are super talented in the ring, and the belts are on SCU right now. Which again, I think they're entertaining. I think they're fun to watch, but I think they're better on the microphone than they are in the ring. Kazarian is up there in age. Christopher Daniels is up there in age. So I don't know.
My thoughts is this though, like, why aren't they the ones in these like silly side tag team gimmicks or storylines? You know, like if they're so good on the mic, they could be in a storyline with you know the young. It seems like they want to veer away from doing Young Bucks with belts, Kenny Omega with belts, Cody Rhodes with belt. Like it seems like they want to keep it off the original founders right now, so it doesn't seem like they started a promotion so they could hold belts.
Well, here's what's silly is the fact that. So you've got Cody, Kenny, Young Bucks that have started this, and there was so much outcry initially that people are like, well, they're just going to put the belts on themselves. You know, I don't think they should do that. But then when they don't do that, you have people complaining about it, like because they've seen that the guys they're trying to push are not as good in the ring as they are. I mean, and you know, I know I'm gonna have people disagree with me, which is that's fine. You know, but you could easily, if they didn't want to put the belts on themselves, okay, put the tag belts on, you know, Lucha Bros, or put the I don't know, put the
We didn't even mention Private Party. I mean, like there's and I told you this last week. The tag division there. That's why I told you I wanted to see the Briscoe Bros go there, because the tag division there in AEW is just stacked compared to any other division. It's just stacked.
yeah.
And if you don't want to put it on the Young Bucks, cool. I get that. We'll get there when we get there. I'm all right with that. But put it on the Lucha Bros. Put it on Best Friends. Put it on somebody who can put on those high flying tag matches that we want to see, because right now SCU's not really able to, like, they're not doing that.
Yeah.
They're holding down the fort with their mic, and they're already over kind of stage presence in itself. And so if they're so good at that, let's put them in a gimmick with the Dark Order, or let's put them in let's put them in a thing where they're just feuding with somebody, having a good match with good promos and things like that. And let's put the belts on somebody who can help take AEW to that next level, which is, I that's why I can almost see the Omega the Page tag team getting that push, because it's going to be a match that they can put on a Revolution card and say, okay, here's some big names.
Right. So I'm gonna kind of pull an audible real quick, because we're, like I said, we're staying on one topic for a decent amount of time, which is fine. No big deal. So instead of I was gonna go to the next program, so that would have been NXT. Let's stay on AEW for a second. So one thing with their booking decisions, and this could kind of tie into what they're doing with the titles. So it was reported that Marty Scurll, they were going to bring him in, sign him to AEW, and that he was going to be the original leader of the Dark Order. So do you think that they are pushing the Dark Order because of that? Like, that they thought, okay, once we get Marty on board, it'll get over. As awful as it's been, we're still going to go this route. A, do you think that that's why they've been pushing them so much? And B, now that that's not a possibility, do you think maybe their backup is Matt Hardy?
So here's my thing. Like, the Dark Order right now is just like a promo tease. I mean, we saw them in that, like, one of the pay-per-view matches, in that tag team match where it was a good match. And then we've seen them fight, once since then? And now we're at this point where they're just a promo tease. It's just a join the Dark Order promo tease. They come out to the ring, it's a promo tease. And I think they're really just keeping that storyline ready for a Dark Order takeover of AEW at some point, where they're just going to kind of like a better authority angle almost. Like, they're going to just take over in AEW, and you're going to find out that so-and-so higher up joined the Dark Order and is hiding, within the scheme of things. And
they're doing the promos kind of like the NWO did, making it look like they purchased it, like it's a commercial, not a promo. I like that. But they have to get some type of star power involved with that. You cannot have, the Butcher or the Blade or some. I mean, it has to be a name. It has to be a big name. I don't know if Luke Harper's a big enough name.
I don't think so.
Or the face. Luke Harper's not really a face. I don't know if you can put him as the face of that and say, hey, you're the leader. He's always been a follower.
I don't know who's there.
I think it best if you reveal Luke Harper as the leader, it would just be a shock factor thing for a week, and then that's all you're going to get out of it.
And you don't want to put him behind a mask. You don't want to put him behind. But I don't know if Steve Austin could get this over. I don't know if Stone Cold could come back and be the leader of the Dark Order. I don't know if The Undertaker could come. I think it's just played out. I think it's gotten off to such a rocky start, and people are sour to it right now. Mm-hmm. I don't know what gets it over. I don't know how you do it.
The Matt Hardy thing is interesting to me because they've been teasing with his Free the Delete stuff, like all those episodes and him kind of trying to find himself. The Dark Order gimmick kind of plays into all that. Like Dark Order is all about finding who you are and, joining and being a part of something. So the Matt Hardy thing interests me because they have it scheduled to where his last Freedom of the Elite series ends like in March when his
when his contract is up. Yep.
is up. And so I think that's really weird because one of two things happens with that. Either he's already signed a new deal with WWE where he can bring back his broken gimmick and be that, or he's just teasing because he has something in his contract that allows him to put out wherever he wants on his social media, and he's just teasing until the point that he can leave the company. Now, I'm sure he has a 90-day clause where he can't perform anywhere. So it'd be interesting to see how they build that.
He shouldn't have. If his contract is just up and he doesn't re-sign, he shouldn't have any kind of 90-day no compete. The 90-day
they all do. When they all signed a couple years back, that's why we've had to wait for some of these guys whose contracts did end. But it says if they don't re-up, by the time their contract ends, it's a 90-day non-compete clause.
So at the earliest, let's say his contract does end in March, we wouldn't even be able to see him in AEW. If that's true, we wouldn't even be able to see him until June. I don't think the Dark Order can survive that long without some kind of some kind of a I don't want to say a push because I don't want to confuse the term push with management behind the scenes or creative or whatever giving them a push. I'm saying a boost in whatever leader. I'm trying to think of another word for leader. Just whatever their angle is to put this. Gosh, I'm drawing a blank now. I'm just going to use the term leader for now. Whoever they're trying to make as their leader, the one that is behind the scenes facilitating all of the join the Dark Order stuff. And I don't know, part of me thinks that Marty Scurll would have been the only one to be able to get it over because he has that history with Cody and Omega and the Young Bucks and being the Elite Series, because the fans would get it from that aspect. But I think if you try to do it with Matt Hardy, I think it kind of falls somewhere in the middle where it would do more than just give you the cheap pop for that particular week or that particular pay-per-view or whatever. You might have a decent run for 3 or 4 weeks, and then I think it's just going to fall flat again.
Depends on what they do with it, too. I mean, do you bring Matt Hardy in as broken Matt Hardy and run that? Do you bring him in as a whole new persona?
Oh, no, I think you do. I think you run with the broken Matt stuff. But even still with that, I think
because here's the thing. Jeff follows. Okay, wherever Matt goes and there's success, Jeff's going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like I don't know where Jeff's at on his contract, especially with injury and legal troubles and things of that nature. But I would say that if Matt goes there and he can hold it down, you're eventually going to get Jeff in there, either to join the Dark Order with him or to come be the face that steps up against and says, no, we're shutting this down.
Yeah.
Don't forget about the fact that Jeff Hardy was Willow in Impact.
Oh,
and
for sure.
Did weird stuff like that.
and I think... No, I don't know. I was going to say something. I'm just going to hold my thought on that. I think in general AEW is going in the right direction, but I think they and I'll bring this up because this was mentioned in a Facebook group I'm in. They basically said on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you think AEW is right now in terms of just overall product, in-ring, promos? Where would you put them now? And I said I'd put it at a 6.
Someone commented here and said Marty would have been better with the Butcher, Blade, and Bunny, which you and I mentioned that when the Butcher and Blade showed up. We were like, I wonder if this is where Marty Scurll comes in at.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So Mark Cyrus, shout out to you. Yeah, we've talked about that. Not on the show, but we've talked about that just in private. How when Butcher and Blade showed up, we were like, "Yeah, that's probably where Marty Scurll is going to come in at." Right before he signed with NWA,
Ring of Honor,
or Ring of Honor. Sorry,
yeah. Now
they're playing together. I forget.
Right now, here's the next thing I was going to get at. So we'll talk about AEW a little bit more, but I want to bring Ring of Honor and NWA into this. So I thought about it from another angle. So let's say, you've got Marty Scurll who signs with Ring of Honor, but he also signs on to be their head booker. So his contract says he's head booker, and he also has the freedom to go to NWA. He's going to do a program with Nick Aldis. Do you think maybe long term they put him as a head booker and they gave him a management position? By the way, I just noticed that T.O. is totally not on camera at all. It's just his laptop and his cup. Do you think that he did this contract as a way of? I'm sorry, I'm struggling to think of the right words today. As a way to. As a means to get in with AEW to try to form a partnership with. So let's look at it from this angle. So Marty Scurll, and I'll just kind of recap real quick. T.O. just walked back in. You're totally not on camera either. It's pointing right at your cup of water and your laptop. It's not a big deal. I mean, if you don't want to be on camera, it's fine. But I guess when you think about it,
Depends if you want ratings, Alex.
yeah. Well, there you go.
Oh, man.
Marty Scurll has the most intriguing contract in wrestling right now. So he is a head booker, so he's in management. He has the freedom to go to other organizations. He's working a program with Nick Aldis, or he's going to. Mark says he only has to work 40 total days for Ring of Honor, which is a good point. Mark, thanks for joining us, by the way, buddy. I appreciate it. Do you think this might be a way for Marty to try to be the glue, so to speak, to form some kind of partnership? Maybe it's just Ring of Honor and AEW. Maybe NWA is not brought into this, but I know Ring of Honor has a partnership with NWA right now. They have a partnership with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Do you think maybe he tries to leverage that? That's the word I was trying to think of. He tries to leverage this position with Ring of Honor developing a partnership with AEW.
My thing on that is AEW doesn't want that. They don't want to. They could have all went into Ring of Honor or all went to this program and created that whole partnership with 3 promotions there. AEW, they want it to be different. They want to have. It was all about creative control. It was all about them creating something different than what's out there. So why would you bring?
What shocks me is Tony Khan. He comes from a sports background.
Mm-hmm.
His father owns professional sports teams. Does it make sense to lock up contracts and lock up individuals under these contracts to big money and then allow them to go work other shows to where they could potentially get hurt?
No, and we talked.
If Jericho gets hurt on the New Year's Eve show or New Year's Day show,
Mm-hmm.
if something happens with Omega, if something happens with Moxley,
Yep.
what I mean, so right now your title plans are Jericho, Moxley.
Mm-hmm.
One of those guys gets hurt in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do? And it's a long injury. I mean,
Right.
some of these injuries are 6 to 8 months. That kills your main storyline.
No, I agree. When we touched on that last week, because I mean, like you mentioned, you've got Jericho and Moxley that are working New Japan. You've got Kenny Omega that's working.
There's a reason
AAA.
nobody's done these contracts.
Right.
To your, I mean, like what you're saying.
I don't understand. Like, I wouldn't even play around with that mindset because I just don't think that they're even interested in doing something like that. I feel like they're more interested in building AEW. And so if you want to be involved with AEW, you're AEW. You're not going AEW/ROH/ New Japan. I think they have those exceptions for Jericho because of the name he is, because of what he can bring to the company as far as star power. And again, I think you'll see when his contract with New Japan ends that they probably will be like, hey, why don't you just be with us?
Or pick one. Yeah, you got to pick one or the other. Basically,
same with Moxley. I think Moxley signed a deal with New Japan before he ever knew he was for sure going to AEW the way he is, and now I think he sees that AEW is where he needs to be. And when that New Japan thing ends, he's going to be like, okay, AEW,
mm-hmm.
and put because John Moxley's dedicated. If you listen to his podcast on the Chris Jericho podcast when he first left WWE, he's got storylines. He's got things he really wants to do that are non-title related. And so I think you're going to see him really plug in with AEW, but I just don't see AEW wanting to connect with ROH, New Japan. You would have, in my opinion, you would have already saw that happen. They already have too many connections with all those companies, with all the talent that they have, to say that shouldn't have already happened if it was going to happen. I don't think Marty Scurll's the difference maker. I think Marty Scurll saw an opportunity to be the guy for a company where in any other company he might not have been.
Who is a difference maker?
I don't think there is one for Dark Order. I don't like I talked a little bit about the fact that while you stepped out for a couple minutes, I was mentioning the bathroom. Yeah, we have to relieve ourselves every so often. It's all right. The only person that I think may have had a chance to get that over is Marty Scurll, only because of his connection, his tie-in with his history with the Young Bucks and Omega and Cody and being the Elite Series. I think fans would have understood that, but I think it falls. I think it falls the same way. So I also mentioned Matt Hardy. I think let's say you do it with Matt Hardy. I think you might get the cheap pop for the week it happens or the event it happens at, whether it's a pay-per-view or if it's a Dynamite. I think it might go over for 3 or 4 weeks, and then people will stick behind the Hardy broken Matt delete stuff if they go with that. But then I think they would only be behind that, and just the Dark Order stuff wouldn't get over. Now, if you do it with Marty Scurll, it might go a little longer than that, but ultimately I think it does the same thing. I think people are so sour on the Dark Order right now, I don't think any wrestler, any talent whatsoever gets that gimmick over, and I think they just need to drop it.
I agree about the gimmick. I just don't get the gimmick at all.
To me, it's just fun. I just enjoy the promos are great. Don't get me wrong. Like, the way they shoot the promos and stuff have been great. It leads nowhere. Like they did say on AEW this past week that they're after Michael Nawazaka and Kenny Omega and Hangman Page.
They should be adding 2 every week though. Like they should be making these small.
They're pulling the AEW Dark Stars in. All right, because they had 2 guys that came to the ring with them a couple weeks ago, and I don't know who they are, to be honest with you. But they were on AEW Dark and fought like a couple weeks before that, and now they're a part of the Dark Order. So they're getting no-namers, but you got to...
Would the NWO had any steam if it would have been Hall and Nash and then Hogan, and then next thing you know, they add... I'm trying to think of someone at that time that was... I mean, they strategically picked these guys in the right way to join the NWO. You can't just have mid-carder or jobbers joining
the problem is that AEW's got so many names that they don't want to tarnish, though. So, like, if you notice, they keep putting all the, like, randomly on Dynamite, we get these random, like, matches that are great matches, but there's no rules, like, storyline to them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Which that doesn't...
Was it Joey Janela calls out Ray Phoenix? We're going to get a Joey Janela versus Ray Phoenix this next week, I believe.
Okay, why not do something with Janela and the guy that stole his real-life girlfriend?
Exactly.
Well, they had...
there's
what's her
truth
name?
to this.
What's her name came in and gave him a low blow a couple weeks ago while he was doing an interview, and they're teasing that storyline.
But no colors given to it. There's no... like. They start with little things and then it just stops. They don't do anything else. Like
they tease these storylines, but like I said, a lot of these matches, minus 1 or 2, don't have a storyline to them.
Well, it's because there's no writers. I mean,
like,
they have.
Where did
they have
Darby
a bunch
Allin
of wrestlers
and Pat come from?
Well, here's part of the problem. Like you said, the writers behind the scenes, maybe there aren't writers, or maybe there's not many, but maybe they've got this old school mindset of, well, we'll just throw out matches every week because we're a wrestling program. That's what we were supposed to do. That's what we can do. I think part of the problem is, as much as I love Tony Schiavone, as much as I love Jim Ross, I think that they're past their time as far as in-ring storytelling or just explaining storylines in general. I think they're just calling the matches, which they still do, in my opinion, a good job of it. But in terms of the storytelling aspect of it, I think it's subpar at best. So I think the problem is twofold as far as that goes.
You got to have a guy who can carry that announce team for sure. And every great announce team has that main centerpiece that you build up.
Yeah, every great announce team has a man with a mask.
You got there's no one on that announce team that story tells well.
No.
And so you got to have a guy who carries that. And I think in every great duo, you had that. A great announcing duo, you see that. But yeah, I'm at that place where I don't think AEW wants to join forces with people. I think AEW wants to create their own thing. It's different than every other promotion, and I think that's why you won't see them join with any other promotion.
Yeah.
They'll say, you'll come here.
So last thought on AEW, and then we're going to kind of pivot away from them. Do you think that, so I know he's in a program with Cody right now. Do you think that MJF is their best talent right now? So it's kind of a two-part question. Do you think MJF is their best talent right now when it comes to in-ring skills and on the mic skills? And two, do you think it might be worth putting the belt on him this year?
No and no. I like his promos are phenomenal. Don't get me wrong, but his matches to me are not anywhere close to anything we've seen from the other top tier guys, in my opinion.
Okay.
I'm not like an MJF like wrestling fan. I don't see him being the face of the company in that. Like, he to me looks like a mid-card person. I don't mean that in any disrespect to him, but right now, like, I just don't see him at the same level as like a Jon Moxley. Like, I don't see you putting him over Jon Moxley. I don't see you putting him over Chris Jericho. I don't like they've not built, if anything, they've not built him in a way for me to believe that legitimately. Right now he kind of reminds me of like a Dolph Ziggler of like 5-6 years ago. Like, could be, yes, but right now, no. And like, where are we at on that? What are we doing about it? What can we do to change that? But right now, like, that whole his whole gimmick just kind of screams mid-card to me.
I think the reason I bring it up is because I think another thing that AEW is missing is you need, I would say, at least 3 singles wrestlers that are faces and 3 heel singles wrestlers that at any point they would be capable of carrying the AEW championship. And I think the problem is from the face standpoint, I think at best you've got Moxley and Omega, and that's it. From the heel side of it, I think you've got Jericho, and I think that's about it. I don't think MJF could do it yet. I don't think that Pac could do it yet.
Maybe that's why they're teasing a Hangman Page turn, though.
I don't think Hangman Page could do it. I think it was a great decision not to have Hangman Page win that match with Jericho.
Mark says that MJF is the modern-day Tully Blanchard.
He's getting there. Tully Blanchard was phenomenal in the ring, but I don't think he's quite there yet with at least in-ring skills. Mic skills, he's there. I would put him up there with Tully Blanchard on mic skills, but I'd hesitate to say at least in-ring wise he's there with Tully Blanchard. So, all right, let's pivot away from that for a second. I'm going to do a quick read about our podcast and about our Yo Radio app.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
So you can check out the Going Broadway podcast with new shows every week on Apple Podcasts and Google Play, as well as a number of other platforms where you can access your podcasting. For those of you that are watching us live right now, each show is archived, and you can go back and watch any one of them on Facebook or via our YouTube channel as well. Go to goingbroadwaypodcast.com/YouTube and check us out. Please also download our free app. It's called Yo Radio. It can be also downloaded through the App Store or Google Play. Yo Radio is the most advanced user-driven streaming radio service on the market today. Everything you would expect and more from the most full-featured platforms ever developed. Listen to an endless genre of music, podcasts, including our show via the Lineup channel, sports, news, and more, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it's always 100% free. Again, that's Yo Radio, available via the App Store, Google Play, or by visiting yoradio.com. So just a quick plug as well about our giveaways. So we legit got like 70 or 80 likes in the last 2 days, which is crazy. So we're at like 260 something right now. So that means we hit the 250 that we mentioned that we were going to do our first round of giveaways. So either today or tomorrow, for those of you that were one of the first 250 likes, you're going to be entered into a randomizer drawing, and I'm going to give away 2 T-shirts. The winners can pick their colors of choice and their size. I posted the promotional photo in the Going Broadway podcast in the feed, so you can check that out. Once I run that randomizer, I'll do a live video of it, and then I'll contact the winners. The winners have 24 hours to respond to me, and if they don't, then that means I'll do it again. So we'll do that at 500 likes, and we'll probably give away maybe like 4 or 5 shirts at that point. Once we hit 1,000, we're going to do the free belt giveaway. And kind of piggybacking off Mark's comment about Tessa Blanchard, I got something to show you guys. Just one second. Nope, it's on this side. All right, so this is the belt we're going to give away. I just got it today. Let's see if I can get this on camera here. Oh. Not doing a very good job. So it's the NWA National Heavyweight Belt. And this is Cole's going to take the reins on it. So it is I'm going to lower this mic a little bit. There we go. It is a very nicely crafted belt. It's the plates on it are 4 millimeter thick, and it is made of zinc, so it is very high quality. This is legit like the ring used belt. It's real leather, and once we hit 1,000 likes, we're going to give that belt away. And that was this particular.
And that was purchased at an estate auction of what wrestler?
Not quite.
Oh,
not quite. So that was made by an overseas company, but that is just as good a quality as anything Dave Milliken or Reggie Parks or any of the belt makers would make, in my opinion. So, again, we're going to give that away at 1,000 likes. So if you haven't already, like our page, and you'll be entered into that drawing. And then as far as the T-shirts, I'm going to do that either today or tomorrow, just depending on when I have time. But I'll keep you guys updated and let you know. So where do we want to go from here? So we've got a couple topics I wanted to mention. I know we didn't finish doing a recap of this past week's shows, which we can do that if you guys want. If there's anything in particular you wanted to bring up. I didn't watch SmackDown from Friday. I didn't watch Raw last night. Cole did tell me that they put the tag belts on Rollins and Murphy, which I think is just. Whenever you told me that, I was so shocked because it's like, why would you do that and not put them on AOP?
And that's what I told you. Like, it was funny how they did it because, like I said, they had Joe and Kevin Owens come out during a Seth Rollins promo in the ring, and they're like, hey, we're going to come down there and fight you guys. Seth Rollins is like, all right, well, it's 4-on-2, so let's do this. They're like, oh, well, you didn't listen. We said we're ready to fight, but we didn't say we come alone. The Viking Raiders come out. There's a brawl. Then Seth Rollins later on comes out and says, hey, we're going to challenge for the tag titles. And everyone's like, yes, like you hear the anticipation. Like it's about to be AOP versus the Viking Raiders, which I told you I've been dying to see.
Right.
And then out of nowhere, he goes, me and Buddy Murphy. And then the whole crowd's like shocked like you and I are. Like, why? And so you think of like it's going to get a disqualification somehow. Like you just feel like it's going to be that typical WWE thing. And then everything goes south and they cheat and do all these things. And Seth Rollins hits a curb stomp on the side of the ring and, you know, wins the belts. So, yeah, there's not much to say about SmackDown. SmackDown was like I told you, to me, is just kind of stale.
The only thing noteworthy I remember about SmackDown, again, not having watched it, was the in-ring WWE in-ring return of John Morrison, of course,
which was decent.
To be expected. He won the match over Big E. Another thing to mention about SmackDown, and I'll kind of piggyback into a quick topic I wanted to mention. So they put the Usos over the Revival. It was reported this past week that the Revival they're now using the same trademark attorney as a lot of the AEW talent. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Because they're gonna leave. Like,
Do you think it's as simple as that, or do you think they might
Didn't they
be
just sign the contract?
No,
No, they didn't.
They're up at the end of this or middle of this year.
I think it's up in February.
Well, Dash Wilder has 10 more weeks than the other because of injuries.
Oh, that's right.
So they're going to be offset if they're going to go somewhere as a tag team anyways. But I mean, I think it's as simple as that. The tag division in WWE is already lame, not because of talent, but because of booking. So I mean, like,
so that's what it was. They were offered 5-year contracts worth $500K per year. They're idiots.
Yeah.
Idiots for not taking that.
yeah, but at the end of the day, what else? You know, if money for them is not a problem right now, which I don't know if
Well,
what
from
their
what we've
financial
learned,
sim-
money is always a problem for wrestlers at some point in time in their life.
Very true. But my point is,
Especially if your name
this.
is Ric Flair.
I think several people in that business get to a point where they are done doing the dumb gimmicks, though. I mean, because here's the thing, they're 7-time tag champs, something
So,
like that.
do you think
I don't
you think AEW raises their profile that much to where they come back and they have more bargaining power than $500,000? Because
Yeah,
I
but
doubt AEW's. I firmly believe they will not be here in 5 years. I think there's zero chance.
the AEW will be a promotion in 5 years?
It will not exist in 5 years.
I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, TNA/Impact has made it this long. I don't know if they'll be a legitimate.
Overhead though. I mean, the contracts they're giving these guys, what they're paying. The Jericho's getting old. I just think there's a lot. But again, to counter what I'm saying, TNT Turner must be happy.
They
enough
just
to give him another
renewed
show.
and gave him hundreds of millions of dollars. There it is. As far as their new contract goes,
and that's based on advertising though. They have to sell that advertising.
We needed a primetime players sound bit there.
geez.
Millions of dollars.
And that's where I'm going to get curious is adding another show.
Well, it depends
What
on
can
who,
they
who
go out
leaves,
and do
too.
advertising wise?
It depends. Here's the thing. You're right back to where there's competition again, though. There's a few years ago there was nowhere else to go, so that everyone just signs those big contracts with WWE, gets crap storylines, and that's now there's a difference maker. So I mean, if a big name or here or there leaves and goes to AEW and boosts that show's ratings to a new level. I mean, that's what you had with WCW and WWF. You know, like it was all the matter of who stayed, who left, who went where, and you had to lock down the right guys. And right now, I don't think WWE's doing that. I think they're letting.
So they let the wrong. Let's just say these two go. Dash and Wilder go. Something happens where CM Punk goes to AEW. Let's just say that happens, even though they offered him a contract via text message or whatever the story is. Daniel Bryan decides to leave and go. How much of the needle does that move?
If you take CM Punk and Daniel Bryan,
And they're going to run Monday night against Raw. What does that?
Well, that's not hard.
I was gonna say I think they're at their most difficult point right now going against NXT. I think if they ran against Raw, I think you'd have. I mean, just my opinion. I think Raw is so awful right now that if you take AEW, put it on Monday nights, I think AEW would have more of a viewership in terms of the gap between their viewers and NXT. I think they'd have more of a gap between them and Raw. Just my opinion. Right or wrong.
So you think AEW would outdraw Raw?
With those names, yeah. But
I still don't think so. I think people are so conditioned to watch WWE on Monday nights.
They're conditioned with the people that are there. Now, here's my thing. NXT would be, in my opinion, dumb to sign a Daniel Bryan because he's got injuries. He's older. Like they need
AEW.
AEW, yes. They would be dumb to try to take people from WWE that are on their way out of wrestling. You need to go after the Adam Cole, the Keith Lee. Like you need to take things away from them that are going to be their future, not their current.
But then to T.O.'s point,
You have
if you're
to be
going
able to
to
build.
if you're going to take away
Create.
guys like Adam Cole and Keith Lee, you're going to have to be willing to offer a ton of money because WWE is going to do the same, especially with Adam Cole. Adam Cole is going to be a millionaire within the next.
Of course, but that's my point. My point would be, at what point for these guys is it money versus what they want to do? Because you always hear this conversation with just people like us. Like, are you doing the job that you want to do, or are you just making a lot of money? Because at some point, happiness and your what you want to do in your life is more important than the dollar sign that's there.
Mm-hmm.
And if AEW's dollar sign is close enough, but I get to do what I want, versus WWE offered me a ton of money, but I got to run around acting like I got icy hot put in my pants. Playing off the Revival, storyline with the Usos. Like, that's not what they want to do.
So do you think, how many fans look at AEW as minor league wrestling?
A lot.
So you have that perception.
But I bet you have a lot of those guys, a lot of those people that look at AEW as minor leagues because they haven't watched it.
Now, they're above independent, but there's this gap of the perception of, all right, WWE, it opens the doors to reality TV shows, whether it's the stupid, the Total Bellas or Total Divas or the Miz and his wife show. They have all these other corporate opportunities, all these other doors, avenues for wrestlers to step outside and earn and become, build their brand. AEW has not done that yet.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Again, NWA, WCW in the early 90s, that was a bigger promotion at the time. They had a stranglehold on the South. But the big thing was they could not promote market like WWE. And that was the first thing Kevin Nash said. He goes, when we got to WCW, we just laughed. Like, where's this person at? Well, who does this? Who does your merch?
Mm-hmm.
And,
any WCW worker said that. I mean, you had Big Show whenever he was the Giant. You had Chris Jericho saying that when he was in WCW. Like, everything backstage in terms of marketing.
You heard they sent the wrong check from the video game. Have you heard that story to the Big Show?
Mm-hmm.
Like, they sent him the wrong thing. It was like a $200,000 check, and it was only supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. Well, they FedEx Jericho a check for $0. Like, it's stuff like that, and it was. I know that's a whole nother.
So, but again, maybe the infrastructure is there because of the Khans running the Jaguars and Fulham, the soccer club in Europe, England, but it still takes a lot, and maybe those are the avenues and the vehicles and the tools they use to build these stars up. But you've had players come out and bitch about the Jaguars organization and how they've handled injuries and
PG.
I don't know. I don't know what they do or how they do it.
I think in terms of, and I'm equating it to TNA, Impact, whatever. I think because they made it as long as they have. So when did they've been since like what, 2002, 2003?
They're just like a cockroach that won't go away though. They're on different channels every month. They're on
100%. But I'm just saying, I think AEW will be around for a while in terms of, now my argument is whether they're a legitimate competitor, whether they're, I guess, considered a legitimate company, period. 5 years from now, to your point, personally, I hope they are. If they're not, I could see why.
Maybe the big question, Alex, is once their contracts run up, do WWE make big offers to a Hangman Page?
And people have talked about that, and I'm curious to see what the mindset are of those kind of core people of AEW right now. Because again, that goes right back to the WCW WWE argument. Is in 4 years, a lot of those contracts end in like 2024 for the main guys of AEW. Mm-hmm. Like if those guys switch, jump ship, then yeah, you're right. Like in 4 or 5 years, if Hangman, if Cody, if the Young Bucks,
I don't know if Cody will ever go back.
Well, apparently he's blacklisted, but we've heard that before. I'm saying for the right money, for the right offer, for the right thing.
To eliminate competition.
I mean, we also heard CM Punk would never come back, and now the rumors are louder than ever.
He has the second best odds to win the Royal Rumble right now.
The second best?
And we don't even
Second
know if
highest
he's.
odds.
He probably won't even be in it.
We don't even know if he's even signed.
Hey,
like,
I'll tell you what though, if they pull a swerve and he's in it, that would be, I mean, in my opinion, probably the biggest. I won't say best, but biggest Royal Rumble shocker surprise entrant they've had for definitely for a while, if ever.
we'll talk Rumble Thursday.
Yeah, Rumble. We're gonna talk Thursday, but
yeah, I mean that's where you're at is 4 or 5 years. If those names decide, hey, this was great, this was awesome to be a part of, but we got to do what's best for us now. Even like the Lucha Bros, like they all make that jump at that time, especially all at the same time or relatively in those same times. Yeah.
Do you listen to other wrestling podcasts?
A few, yeah.
Do you, Alex? You listen to a few?
Mhm.
I listen to probably 3 or 4. Some of them experts. Other guys are just, I think they're funny.
yeah.
But they are tied in. They know people in each. Apparently, there's already issues backstage between Jericho and some of the people that Khan has as executive producers.
Uh-huh.
They haven't said if it's the Young Bucks. They haven't said if it's Cody. But there's part of the locker room that Jericho's trying to take under his wing and kind of show him the ropes the old way and do this and do that.
Mhm.
And then the spot wrestlers and the guys that have come up through the indies. So it's 2 very different thoughts of how the business is done.
Mhm.
And I've heard there's some issues, and that's why there's a lot of booking problems, and that's why certain guys are booking their matches certain ways, and then
Which it shows.
essentially it's kind of why it's scatterbrained.
Which it shows because, and I wondered this myself, and this would make total sense because if you watch the Being the Elite series, they have the same people on their show every week. It's always the Cody and Kenny, Young Bucks. You've got SCU. It's always the Librarians. You've always got Joey Janela's on there.
So how do you not feel alienated if you're not another talent?
Exactly.
When those guys are the EPs,
Mhm.
and they're up, should be the other way. Tony Khan's up their butt trying to learn the business. If you're not one of the talents that's being included in something they're shooting,
Yeah.
paranoia sets in.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, like all sorts of stuff. So
Not to mention, John Moxley kind of talks about this when he was talking about going to AEW. They've all kind of been promised creative control. And so what happens with that is...
what could go wrong with that?
What happened? This is why WWE is smart to not give every wrestler creative control. You earn that as you go.
I don't think you give anybody creative control. I think that's why you
That's
have
what killed WCW.
I think that's why you have a
well,
creative team. That's why you have
again,
booking and
you have input. Your voice is heard a little bit more. But in AEW, John Moxley, he was told, I have creative control. I can tell them I want to go do this, and we're doing that. And that's why that you see some promos even are better than others because of who they hire to shoot their personal promo and do that, because everyone's got creative control. Everyone.
Well, that first promo Moxley shot when he left before he had signed anywhere, that was it was great. But he did it on his own dime. He did all that.
But you and I are getting ready to have a match. We both have creative control. So now you and I have to sit down and agree that you're going to take the L or I'm going to take the L, how it's going to push us to what.
And this is where the issues are coming in, is you have Jericho's guys who are kind of old school mentality and they're learning from him. And then you've got guys that are just wanting to get all their spots over, and you're having unrealistic matches, or you're having the issue with that. And then you go, so let me ask you this, Alex. Who's had creative control? In WWE, let's say Cena has had it. Triple H.
Cena definitely, and Triple H.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think more recent who's had it.
Probably a handful, but look at, and I'm just going to use Cena as an example.
Mm-hmm.
All the guys that were fed to Cena, and it derailed what they could have been. Like Rusev. Rusev was a monster. They gave him the tanks, the WrestleMania entrance. I mean, there was legit heat there. And Cena just buries him, and then it shoots him down. So I mean, there's a lot of guys that the creative control just from Cena that I can think of.
Would you say Seth Rollins right now probably would have the creative control or creative input? I should say.
Well,
Brock Lesnar.
I'm differentiating.
Brock
for sure. I'm differentiating input versus actual control.
Yeah.
Like I think everybody, to some degree, I mean, some more than others, obviously, but whoever has 100, I'll say 95% control, and I don't know how you would differentiate that 5%. I'm just throwing out an ancillary number. I would say you've probably got Lesnar for sure, especially since you've got Paul Heyman running the show now.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Besides Lesnar, I can't really think of anyone else that. I mean, Randy Orton maybe to some degree, but
You don't think AJ Styles? I think he requested to be back with the boys.
I was going to say Roman has a little bit, but I don't think he.
You don't think Baron Corbin does? I mean, and the only reason why I say that is how does he stay on? If we're saying he's so bad, if we're saying he's this, and this, yet he's been king of the ring.
People in the back love him. I mean,
but to me, does that mean they love him so much that he has enough pull to say, hey, I want to do this, or hey, I want to do that? Because then he also pulls guys like Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler out of nowhere to be on his little repertoire of people.
Ugh, it's a bad one. I mean, he's horrible with his own creative control.
I was ready to say, if he does have creative control, he needs to.
Right, but that's my point.
He's about as talented with that as his ring.
My point would be is if your creative control goes to who you're connected to, you know what I mean? And so that's why Triple H had creative control. He was connected. That's why John Cena had creative control, because he got to the point where he was connected. Batista literally walked out because they wouldn't let him have the same.
Punk's the same way. I mean, Punk.
They've talked about it. You know, Cena controls a lot of the locker room right now. Seth Rollins does.
He had Steve Austin walk out of the locker room whenever they tried to do the program with Lesnar, and
Jericho left because they were having him do the list. Like he didn't want to do those things. Like,
wait, hold on. Jericho did not want to do the list?
Jericho, why do you think he makes fun of all the gimmicks that WWE had people do? He did.
I thought the list was his idea.
Maybe a little bit, but he did not want to do those gimmicks and those storylines that he was doing. He knew he was better than that.
It goes to show, though, how talented he is. If he loved it,
why did he leave?
Just to do something different, because that's Jericho's personality. I don't know. I'm just saying
the money's there. I mean, look, the thing is, he knew he could be a front runner somewhere else, and the gimmick he was doing in WWE was not that. Nowhere close. He wasn't even really mid card.
No, but it goes to show you on a couple different levels how good of a talent Chris Jericho is. Whenever he did his little shtick with Kevin Owens, that was some of the most must watch.
Oh, well,
TV.
One, Kevin Owens is involved too. So I mean, you had two solid guys.
Two, if what you're saying is true, I don't know that it is or isn't. If he didn't want to do the list as a gimmick, he really got that over. I mean, and it goes to show.
I'm not sure if it was the list that he didn't want to do, but I do know he did not want to do those storylines. And he probably was saying, okay, if I have to do this, then I'm going to do this.
It's just funny, though, because whenever we went to the Dynamite in Champaign, whenever he introduced the lexicon, people knew what he was talking about. People went nuts in the arena, and it probably didn't come off that way on TV, because I know Tio said that they're having audio issues, which
they still do.
They still do. Yeah, exactly.
It's amazing.
I noticed that this past week too. I don't know what's going on, but anyway, we probably should wrap it up. Final thoughts. I'm kind of excited about Thursday's show to talk about the Rumble. Do you guys know if they've released the final card yet? I mean, it is this Sunday.
Like Monday night, you heard like 8 people. Like now they're starting to just have everyone declare. Like now they're teasing a Joe and Kevin Owens kind of feud in the Rumble. Like, hey, when it comes to Seth Rollins, we're together. But in the Rumble, if I got to go through you, I got to go through you.
The match right now, strap match for the WWE Universal title, Daniel Bryan versus The Fiend. Raw title, Asuka. I can't say it. Asuka. I can't say it. I never said it.
No one's ready for Asuka.
I can't ever say Shinsuke's name right either.
Becky Lynch, Lacey Evans and Bayley, Roman Reigns and King Corbin, Falls Count Anywhere, and then Sheamus versus Shorty G. So this is what bothers me. They have everything filled in the Rumble except 6 participants, and every single person on there but 6 participants, they're all Raw and SmackDown. So
they don't have anybody from NXT, is what you're saying.
And those are going to be the 6 that are left. I don't.
Let's table that conversation for Thursday, because we could probably talk about that for another hour. But that's something I do want to touch on, because I did not know that. Because last I heard they were doing the 9-9, or they were doing the 10-10 and 10, or my idea was do 9-9 and 9 and still have 3 surprise entrants. But
Well, my thing is you don't have Roman Reigns in it. You like if the card excludes the people who aren't in the Royal Rumble, like if Shorty G and all those guys aren't going to be in it, you've taken out a lot of names.
yeah, I was
24. Yeah,
I was telling Cole. I was telling Cole before the show started, before he came in. They did someone put a compilation of just reaction videos of people whenever Roman Reigns was the surprise 30th entrant from like 2017 or whatever it was.
In Philadelphia, and they blocked the exit where the wrestlers pulled out at.
Oh, I don't remember. I know what you're talking about. I just don't remember if that was the same one. But basically, like, this was when I think Finn Balor was supposed to be coming back soon, and it could have the 30th entrant.
There's actually only 22 declared right now.
I just read 26.
I think it depends on the.
I'm on WWE's site right now. 2020 Men's Royal Rumble. I just counted them.
Let's see who's not on there. Go.
Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, King Corbin, Dolph Ziggler, Shinsuke Nakamura, Braun Strowman, Eric Rowan, AJ Styles, Randy Orton, Elias, Rey Mysterio, Ricochet, Drew McIntyre, Otis and Tucker, Rusev, Bobby Lashley, Aleister Black, Buddy Murphy and Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, Samoa Joe, and then it says R-Truth undeclared after declaring.
Which was was such a great segment.
Did you say Mysterio?
I did.
Rowan?
Yes.
Ziggler?
Yes.
Aleister Black?
Yes.
Truth? Strowman? Murphy? Nakamura? Buddy Murphy, Samoa Joe, Kevin Owens. I counted 24, so Lesnar, Reigns, Orton, McIntyre, Ricochet.
I don't think you said.
Mysterio.
I don't think you said Ricochet. Did you, Cole?
Ricochet's in there.
Okay.
So Mysterio 6, Styles 7, Rowan 8.
R-Truth, I don't know if that is for real. Like, if I don't count him, it's...
Corbin 9, Ziggler 10.
Does yours
Otis
have R-Truth
11.
on there?
Yeah, down a little
So
ways
it would be
down,
24
11,
with
12,
R-Truth, but the
13.
way they have it worded here is as if he's not in it. Like undeclared and after declaring.
20.
Like
21, 22, 23, 24. There's 20. It doesn't matter. Yeah, they're saying 24 on here. So
right.
regardless.
Well, let's wrap it up. We'll talk about the Royal Rumble on Thursday because that'll definitely be a whole show.
Was that the one you were talking about though? Is that when The Rock came out and they were still booing?
I don't think that was the same year.
Blutista. I'm getting them. They all run together.
Agreed.
They've been bad lately, so they're all.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. They've all not, at least the Royal Rumble matches themselves, they've not been great the last few years, just in terms of the surprise elements and just, I don't know, the overall storytelling. It's like they want to push the big Kofi Kingston spots every year, and it's like they try to make that their big thing.
He's not listed on here.
Uh-oh.
Hold on.
Uh-oh. Kofi Kingston not in the Rumble. That's breaking news.
he's not. Neither is Big E.
Nope, those two aren't on here.
The Usos. I mean, like
you would have to think that Booker T, since it's in Houston, that would be an obvious. But
Yeah.
10 years ago, it would have been an obvious surprise.
Yeah. We'll talk about scenarios and predict our winners and stuff next week, but
Thursday, not next week.
Thursday. Sorry. I'm still used to the once a week thing. So this Thursday, 9 a.m., we'll be here. So for Alex, myself, for Cole, for T.O., I want to thank you guys for joining us, and we will see you on Thursday.
And so, goodbye. Mwah. And good night. Bang!
This podcast was a presentation of LightUpMedia.fm.